Hello YouTube, Southern Wolverine here, and I haven't done Rome 2 Total War multiplayer in a while, so here is another 2 versus 2 battle. This here on the right is my Carthaginian general. He's overlooking a combined force of Carthage and Syracuse. Alright, my army is fairly cavalry heavy this time. I have the African war elephants. I have three of these, or yes, three mercenary Campanian cavalry and three Carthaginian cavalry. I have five Balearic slingers guarded by four hoplite units, two late Libyans and two Carthaginian hoplites. And Comrade Drago's army has a line of mercenary Samnite warriors. Looks like five of them, and a couple of mercenary veteran hoplites, who are a pretty good hoplite unit. He also has a couple of mercenary Campanian cavalry, three of them, and Hippeus lancers for his general. And his skirmish force is 5 units of peltists. Across from us, we have quite the pair of armies. These, who is this? Pontus has a whole bunch of these mercenary, the coming. They have a whole bunch of mercenary Scythian horse archers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, something like 12 or 14 of these guys. A lot of them. And then 5 units of mixed Pontic Royal Cavalry and Noble Blood Cavalry. Over in this corner we have the Roxolani, I believe this is. It's one of those, step factions. Anyway, so he's got a mix of step armored lancers, Scythian Royal skirmishers, and Scythian Royal horse. And he's got some of these cheaper step horse archers back here as well. So let's just go to real time. And faced with this much cavalry, Drago didn't really build. We weren't sure what Pontus was going to bring, which is Patrick, and I forget who played the Roxolani. I'll look it up at the end for you. We knew he'd be all cavalry because that's what that faction does, and we weren't sure what to expect out of Pontus, so we still took, some semblance of a balanced force, although I obviously have a lot of cavalry. In retrospect, a bunch of hoplites instead of these mercenary Samnites probably would have been better for fighting all these cavalry. Now, this is a wide open field. We know we're going to get just absolutely stomped if we try to fight all these cav in the open ground. So yeah, we're going to corner camp. This is not something I would normally do, and I hate to recommend it to anybody. However, given our fairly light infantry forces, I didn't see much other option than to pull back into a position that can protect our flanks. And as open as this board is, you see there's just nothing. There's not even trees to use for cover. There's a couple of little lone trees over here that'll be protection, but that's about it. So I can't even send the cavalry out into this plain to fight with him because he can just pull his melee troops back and let the archers shoot my guys up because I can't catch them. So we have to draw them into us, and the idea here is to get these missile cav fighting who are lightly armored. They haven't taken any of the heavily armored horse archers or anything, but that means they have basically twice as many guys. We need to get them fighting against these Balearic slingers, because I have a lot of them. They're a foot unit, they're larger than a cav unit, they fire faster, I believe, so they are going to probably win a battle long term with these Scythian Royal Horse Archers. All I need to do is use my other forces to keep them off. To keep from getting outflanked. So here we go, the big battle's beginning, and Patrick went and got all these guys kind of mucked into a big blob here together. So that also means my missile fire is going to be more effective against them than it would otherwise have been. Because anything that misses the target unit might hit a different unit that's in there. You see here I tried to pull out a force of my cavalry, figuring I could maybe trap these guys against the edge of the map, but he didn't go for it. He saw it coming and pulled them out, so I have to preserve my cavalry. That's the name of the game, is to keep my cavalry alive. my cavalry dies, we lose the game. Well, if our cavalry dies, because of course Drago has this force of mercenary Campanians as well as me. So we have a lot of those guys, and those are very capable melee cav. But we are facing off against a whole ton of enemy cavalry. I mean, look at all this. This is ridiculous. So, yeah, we're just gunning these guys down right now. Well, not gunning, but you know what I mean. We're knocking them down. Some of these units you see have taken some pretty significant losses already. That unit's starting to rout. So this is not the fight they want. Really, he probably should have put him in Cantabrian Circle and just had a couple units come up and fight me or something. Because that would have reduced the damage my missiles are doing to him. See, now he's trying to shoot my cavalry who came out with this hoplite unit. The Carthaginian, or the Pontic, I'll get it right sooner or later. The the Syracusan cavalry got kind of caught out here in a situation we didn't want, so I tried to come out and help him out. This Pontic Royal cavalry kind of intercepted me. But so now we're in this big drag-out fight. While the skirmishers still going, my spears tried to drive these guys off, and they have now pulled back. So they're just going to reform the line because they're protecting all my slingers, who are really the only defense we have against those horse archers. Now it's just I'm pouring my melee cav in to try to drive these guys out. These Pontic Royal cav in here, and it's working. They're taking damage. I still have most of my troops left, and this is where the Syracusan peltists are going to be useful, because they're going to be pretty useless against the horse archers because they have too short a range. However, if we get these heavier cav units engaged and throw peltist missiles into them, we can do some damage. So you see, the elephants came down to try to spoil their this cav fight, and it does work. The Roxolani, or the Scythians rather, sorry, they're not Roxolani, the Scythians. Scythians pull out, and so do the Pontic forces as well, which lets us pull these 3 Campanian cav back behind the lines. And they've taken a lot of losses, but we still have those units. We still have the capability. As long as they're not completely lost, we're okay. Well, my intention was that they were able to draw back behind the line, but Drago kept pushing them into these guys in the hope of catching the Scythian archers. So they're kind of getting drawn into a fight here, and now they're going to attempt to withdraw under the umbrella of the missile fire from our lines. Meanwhile, the Pontic cav has been pretty well thrashed, or the missile cav has been pretty well thrashed. Not a lot left, and the melee forces are pretty well depleted too. He's only got these 3 units left, and you see this unit only has 17 guys left in it. So the Pontic army is pretty much spent, and I'm trying to bring out my cav here to kill off the last of the archers so I can save all my sling rounds, because there's still an awful lot of Scythian missile horse left. But he sees him coming, he pulls him out and counterattacks, so I have no choice but to draw those units out of there. So at this point I'm telling Drago, okay, I'm going to send you my slingers to help face off against the Scythians, who still have lots of missile cav, and you send me all your peltists, so that if heavy cav does charge my hoplites, the peltists can shoot them up and, you know, mess them up pretty good, which is really about all they're going to be good for at this point. So that's exactly what we've done. We just swapped skirmisher units, and I've also tried to push out a little bit to help force the Scythians to battle. And the last couple of Pontic units have come around in an attempt to flank me to get at my missiles, I suppose. So I have more cavalry locally, and I'm just going to bring them into the fight. And these pelters are going to come over and help as well. So really these guys, these Pontic Royal Cavalry, aren't going to have much of a chance against this much. It almost doesn't matter who you are, there's just too much force there. So now the skirmish battle continues as the Balearic Slingers are still firing. But now they're firing at the Scythian archers, who are in Cantabrian Circle, so I'm not going to damage them quite as quickly as the Pontic Cav went down. However, there are an awful lot of these guys still in a fairly small area, so we'll still be making them feel it. See, they're taking some significant damage, some of them anyway. So perhaps he realizes that's not a fight he wants, so he's going to pull them back. Or he's going to try anyway. They're still taking missile fire. These slingers do have a nice long range. It's one of their better uses. Lots of ammo and a long range. even though they don't have the specialist ammo that the archers have or the sheer hitting power of the javelins. So here's his general going down too, and this is kind of a big deal. If his general goes down to missile fire, yeah, see there, his general does die, or at least rout. Not sure if he actually died, but that's going to hurt the morale of his army. They don't have the discipline rule like a lot of the Roman and Carthaginian and other, northern Mediterranean factions have. So they do suffer a morale penalty that's pretty significant when the general dies. Now here comes an awful lot of melee cavalry. That's still pretty healthy, you see. He's going to try the same thing Patrick did a second ago, and he's going to just push this flank, push this gap. Now I'm going to use these guys, these hoplites, to try to intercept as best as I can, but it didn't really work. He's still able to get most of his guys past. So I'm just going to have to throw my cavalry and my elephants into the fight in an effort to hold him back. So we're going to have a pretty significant cavalry duel over here. And now here is where Drago's Libyan or Peltist come into the play, just hurling javelins into these heavier lancer units and things. So they should be able to do a fair amount of damage there. And now I'm just trying to keep these horse archers from, trying to tip the balance by contributing to this fight, just like our skirmishers are, just by pushing spears out to sort of widen our exclusion zone. So Drago also now was pushing his troops out a little bit for the same reason. And we're just mopping up now these Scythian troops. There were just too many units here. The Peltists contributed, and the morale effect from their general probably didn't do them any good either. So now pretty much these guys, these remaining couple of skirmish cav units, just have to make the best of it. And some of these are the skirmishers who are actually javelins, I believe. And they may just be out of ammunition. So they got their swords out, so they may be out of ammunition. But he might have also just been throwing them into this last-ditch attack, realizing he can't really come out of this fight with a win. So they're going to make one more gallant attack here, try to break through. And it's, as you see, it's not really going to work very well. But at that point, not a whole lot you can do. Yeah. So, yeah, those guys were javelin troops. Those skirmishers are javelins. Alright. I suffered more kills, or suffered more losses than Drago did, but I also did a lot more damage. And that was largely the Balearic Slingers. I mean, look at that. You got 2 units with almost 300 kills. This one's got almost 200, and these are both have a lot of kills also. So that's what we had to do. We had to use foot melee or foot missile troops to fight off the horse archers, and that was really about the only thing we could do. We couldn't fight in the open unless we get encircled. It would just have been horrible, horrible news. So in any case, my cavalry did okay. It mostly was just holding its ground as a counterattack force and staying alive as a threatening force. It was all about the missile troops, really, the Balearic Slingers. And Drago's army, the Peltists, didn't do as much damage as my Slingers did, but they suffered very few losses with the exception of this unit, and still had some decent damage. And his melee troops basically did nothing, but they also stayed alive because they were never really attacked. The missile units were mainly shooting at our missile units, primarily my missile units. And that's where the battle was won and lost. Foot skirmishers, almost without exception, will beat a similar or even a greater number of horse skirmishers. Look at this. This is madness. Madness. And look at how little damage all those guys did. They were just getting thrashed. So, in any case, good game to Patrick and Captain Destructo. And thanks once again to Comrade Drago for playing with me. Alright, so if you like this video, please do hit the like button on this video, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. I am Southern Wolverine, and I'd like to wish all of you a good day.